Sometimes a picture is worth a billion words, or in this case, a film. So let's look at it. Everybody knows about this travesty here. This is from Bloomberg Politics, so they just had the pertinent part of this. Anyway, yeah, that was worth a billion pictures. That's been endlessly replayed and endlessly replayed. And if you want to see the complete unedited version from both sides of the road, you could look at C-SPAN too on it. But yeah, the big story is that Trump is still continuing to make a complete and total jackass out of himself. And I just don't get it at all. What his motive is. Today he had talked about being, or maybe it wasn't him, maybe it was his doctors, talking about him being released from Walter Reed Hospital as early as today. I just don't see it. Why don't I look it up before I blather further? Some wag on Democratic Underground said, dubbed this little parade yesterday as Diseasy Rider. And I think that's pretty, or actually probably referring to Trump as Diseasy Rider. But now there's all kinds of condemnation about this joyride that he took, that he never should have taken it, because this tells you how narcissistic this guy is, that he was so wanting the adulation of the public to know that he's still in charge, that he would risk the lives of several other people in that truck. And they say that those SUVs, you know, they're bulletproof, they're designed to resist any kind of chemical, whatever you would call it, infiltration in there, that it's just airtight. And I don't need to listen to Andrea Mitchell. But yeah, he had said in a video he was going to he had a surprise in store. And this was not just a surprise, it was shocking. And this whole week since last Saturday has been just unbelievable. And so who knows how long Trump has had this coronavirus, and he does have it. I don't think for a minute that he's ever faked it. He might have had it as early as last Saturday when they had that now infamous Rose Garden announcement or introduction of Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. And Politico's been keeping track of who's been infected with the coronavirus from this. And there's always been a lot of speculation, or I shouldn't say always, there has been a lot of speculation as to who patient zero is, who the Typhoid Mary is, who spread this thing like wildfire, and who knows if all these people back here won't get it. But speculation was that Barrett's children, they were unmasked and they were indoors during some of that reception part of it, that they spread it. But a lot of people speculate it's Donald Trump himself that was actually the super spreader. And who knows how long he's had it. Now, if he's well enough to get out today, then obviously he has had this virus longer than he's letting on. Yeah, I think they said, what was it, Wednesday or Thursday he was diagnosed with COVID-19. But if he's feeling that good, that well, that he could be released today, then no, then he's had it longer than that. But it kept it hid. But we don't know with this administration and this president, because he's such a liar. And this, and the thing is, people were worried that he was gonna get a bounce out of this, but it's basically been a dead cat bounce. And I'm talking about the polls, a sympathy vote thing, but there was no sympathy vote. Nothing. And in fact, if anything, he's probably lost ground. Because why would hell would anybody vote for somebody who might wind up dead? So that doesn't make sense. And anyway, it's a scary thing. He put the lives of those Secret Service agents in jeopardy with that ridiculous ride, and he's put everybody he's in contact with in danger. Not to mention, he's of the age that he could drop dead. And speaking of which, Joseph Biden so far has had at least 2 tests for COVID-19 since the disastrous debate of last Tuesday, and he's turned up negative, but he's going to have to keep being tested to make sure that he didn't get infected by typhoid Trump. But anyhow, I don't have a whole lot to add. I just know that almost everybody, no matter who it is, they're just outraged over what he did. And here this says, his drive-by reveals his true nature. Yeah, this is Chris Cillizza, and he used to be with the Washington Post. Now he's with CNN. And anyhow, and Cillizza is right. I hope I pronounced his name right. But he says Donald Trump's unannounced and wildly unnecessary drive-by of his supporters outside Walter Reed Medical Center on Sunday night aptly summed his presidency to date. An entirely self-focused political and PR stunt with little regard for the impacts on people other than himself. That just proves he's totally narcissistic. And I don't think it's just the medical. The pills that he's on either. I just think he can't stand it if he's not in the limelight all the time. So this is, I mean, why anybody would vote for him? Why would anybody vote for him now? When it's right there in front of your face how narcissistic this guy is. I don't get it. And Cillizza goes on and says, that's the only logical explanation for the decision by the President of the United States to task 2 Secret Service agents with driving him by supporters who had gathered outside the hospital to show their support for him as he continues to battle COVID-19. And then James Phillips, a doctor at Walter Reed, although he isn't working with the president, he was just outraged. He said the irresponsibility is astounding. Every single person in the vehicle during that completely unnecessary presidential drive-by just now has to be quarantined for 14 days. They might get sick. They might die. For political theater. Commanded by Trump to put their lives at risk for theater. This is insanity. And yeah, it is. So I don't get it. I never will get it. This adulation of somebody who clearly doesn't merit it. He throws his contempt of anybody not in his purported social class. As far as I know, he's probably got less money than I have. But he looks down on anybody who isn't rich like he pretends to be. And so the Secret Service, so what if they get it and die? They're the hired help. They're just the hired help. So, anyway, that's all I have to say about this latest outrage. And he's, more and more, he's putting his nail in his political coffin. And there's always a possibility he's putting the nail in his own literal coffin.